Development of thyroid gland. To understand this, we need to know about the pharyngeal arches. So, pharyngeal arches are ring like swellings in the developing fetus around the neck area, future neck. So, the pharyngeal arches contain outer ectodermal lining, inner endodermal lining, and mesoderm in between. The outer ectodermal lining invaginates to form ectodermal clefts, and the inner endoderm exvaginates at the corresponding sites to form endodermal pouches. Okay, this invagination and exvagination of the endoderm and ectoderm creates the ring-like appearance of the pharyngeal arches. Okay, so there appears multiple eminences or swellings in the pharyngeal arches, and the lingual swelling is going to form tongue, and in between that, in the midline, you see an elevation called tuberculum impar, and just below that is your foramen cecum. From this site, the cells begins to proliferate and invaginate to form thyroglossal duct. This thyroglossal duct is going to form the future thyroid gland. And this picture shows the fate of the endodermal pouches. Each endodermal pouch it extends and divides into dorsal and ventral division and gives rise to multiple structures. Among these, fourth endodermal pouch, it divides into ventral and dorsal. The ventral division gives rise to superior parathyroids, and the dorsal division, it contributes to the development of the thyroid gland. So, we have already seen thyroid gland develops from foramen cecum, and the cells proliferate downwards to form thyroglossal duct. Then it divides into two lobes or two diverticulum, and this is going to form the isthmus and lateral lobes of the thyroid. And remember, the fourth endodermal pouch, dorsal division of fourth endodermal pouch also contributes to the thyroid gland. It helps in the differentiation of the thyroid cells. And one more thing is neural crest cells. Neural crest cells migrate towards this site and gets incorporated within the substance of the thyroid gland, and those cells form the parafollicular C cells within the thyroid gland. So, what are the anomalies of the development of thyroid? And the thyroglossal duct may persist as multiple forms. It can commonly present as a pyramidal lobe. Pyramidal lobe is a small projection usually seen in the midline on the upper border of the isthmus, and from the tip of the pyramidal lobe, a fibromuscular band may connect the pyramidal lobe and the hyoid bone, and this is called levator glandulae thyroidae, and the extent of the pyramidal lobe may vary. Okay. And any part of the thyroid gland may fail to develop, that is called agenesis of thyroid, and isthmus may be absent, one lateral lobe may be absent, or isthmus and lateral lobe both can be absent. And thyroglossal duct can persist in other forms. It may remain even patent after birth, and this may manifest as cyst or fistula. A fistula is an abnormal communication or abnormal opening. If the thyroglossal cyst opens outside on the neck of the person, then it is called thyroglossal fistula. Since the thyroglossal duct is present in the midline, these cyst and fistula always seen in the midline of the front of the neck. See the thyroglossal cyst in this picture. It's a lateral view showing the persistence of thyroglossal duct. What is ectopic thyroid? During the course of development of the thyroid, it may fail to descend. It can present anywhere in the away from the normal site, that is the ectopic thyroid. So these are the various sites. If it totally fails to descend, the thyroid gland may present at the foramen cecum itself, then it is called lingual thyroid, and slightly below that, if it is present, then intralingual thyroid. If it is present above the hyoid bone, then it is suprahyoid, and below the hyoid is infrahyoid. Okay. Thank you.